Alright, looks like stream health is good. So gonna minimize that. Make sure it's actually playing. And assuming it is actually playing. There we go. Okay, looks like I am live, which is good. Alright. So I'm gonna minimize that. Actually, no, I do need to kind of share that link. So that would probably be the best thing. Would be to actually be able to share that with the people in the Discord server with whom this actually concerns this. You're getting an echo? Shit. Hi, Christopher Rubino. I'm wondering why there might be an echo. Am I in a voice chat on Discord or anything? No. No voice chat on Discord. The stream itself is muted on my screen. Interesting. My only guess is that OBS is like counting two different sources for my microphone, so I'm going to delete that. Let me know if the fact that there's an echo changes. I might just have to put in some headphones, see if that helps at all. I'll listen to it myself, see if I can figure out why that's going on. This is why I started early, 10 minutes ago, before the stream's technically supposed to start. Hello? Yep, okay, cool. Alright, cool. So it's gone. So essentially what ended up happening was my OBS was counting my mic input as a separate source from my display capture input. So it was counting it twice, which would be why it was fucking up there. Alright, so it looks like that should be taken care of now. Since that is the case, alright, so let me go ahead and explain what we are doing today. Essentially, on the Starfall Discord server, there was a big writing contest that I started a month ago on May 20th, I think. And essentially, the whole writing contest surrounded around the fact that you had to submit an entry that was over 1,500 words, and it had to be submitted up where? What do you mean, up where? Did I say up something? Okay, I'm just going to continue. And it had to be submitted. It had to be written within the Architect Codex universe. For those who don't know, the Architect Codex is a universe that I created set alongside the Titanfall universe, if not within it. But there's quite a few key things like plot and big events changed. All the characters are pretty much original, etc., etc., etc. So it's essentially connected to Titanfall. So they had to specifically create a story. It didn't have to be canon. It didn't have to be connected to the main characters or anything. But they had to create a story within that universe that essentially was their own original creation. And the winner gets $25. And I said that I would read all the entries out here on a stream. Shadow, can you do me a favor and let me know, because it doesn't look like the Discord is doing anything. You just take the link of the stream and post it down in Discord. That would be great. Otherwise, I'll do it myself in like a minute or so, because this is pre-stream anyway, before anything matters. So essentially, I've got all the stories here on my phone, and I'm just going to go ahead and read them out. And at the end of it all, I will announce the winner. I have nailed down the winner between one of these. Those two are gone. This one I think is going to be an honorable mention, and it's between these two here. that I'm really, really still struggling to decide a winner between. Hi, Ethan. Welcome to the stream. But I think I know which one I'm going to go with, but maybe reading it again here on stream will help me decide. In any case, I'm just going to go ahead and put the link to that in Discord. So let me go ahead and get out of this. Oh, God damn it. Google Plus. Yep. This is all, it's like, how hard do you want it to for creators to get to their channel? Yes. It's essentially what YouTube did. Let me see. And then, oh, lovely. The stream is not popping up for some reason. Oh, it is, but it's popping up down here? What? Okay. Nope. I'm going to go ahead and grab that and move into Discord here because, all right, cool. Craig got it. Post it there. Post it there. And for good measure, tell you what, we're gonna just to tick people off, we're gonna post it right. No, he already took care of general. All right, cool. So quit that out. All right, so we should be good now. Link the stream in Discord. Awesome. Hey, Craig, welcome to the stream. Radioactive, welcome to the stream. Can't notify though. Matt, what was this contest? How could I have entered Razgriz? So again, just gonna recap real quick. This writing contest was for members of the Starfall Discord server. If you'd like to join the Discord server, you can find the link down in the description below. And essentially, they had to create a story over 1,500 words long that did not have to be canon, but had to be within the Architect Codex universe, which is a series of novels that I've written about Titanfall. So it had to be original, could not be something that they've written before, and the only reason I added that was because one of the entrants, Disobeyed Bull, wrote a story in the Architect Codex universe a long time ago, and it was really good too, but I didn't want him just copying that and pasting it here. So he still sent in a damn good entry for this one, which I'm very surprised at because if I remember correctly, he grinded it out for like the last 6 to 7 hours. 15 radioactive cyber dragons versus cast of Seraph. Who wins? I don't even know what a radioactive cyber dragon is, and no one knows the entire cast of Seraph. So I mean, the algorithm's pretty powerful, so, like, she definitely brings something to the table. Argo's pretty cool. Nova's pretty cool. Sweet, Raz, I appreciate that. I don't know what 15 Cyber Dragons are. I imagine that the algorithm would straight up probably just hack them remotely. And you guys don't even know who the algorithm is in Seraph, so I mean, it's a moot point. Failing that, I suppose Scav and the dog could probably shoot them down. I don't know. Honestly, though, might be a tough one. I am in Pacific Standard Time. So it is about to hit 1:30 here, which means that I'm about to start heading out. I'm going to push this computer a little bit farther away, just so that way the echo isn't as annoying here. And I'm going to move this microphone a bit to the right. Let me grab my glasses. Hopefully now the buzzing isn't as annoying. Oh, I can't use my glasses, so I'm holding the phone up close. Damn. Come join the Starfall party, he says, as there's no invite link. I think links might be banned, Raz, in the Discord chat. Sorry. I mean, not the Discord chat, the YouTube chat. We'll see. All right, so we are going to move on to the first entry. This one does not have a title. This one is by Ghosting. Um, I decided when I was talking about this one, I just called it Color, and I think that was a fitting thing. Don't worry, I don't think anyone knows. Yeah, I was wondering. Recently went to Texas. It's really nice there. Have you guys ever been there? I lived there for 2 years, dude. Just recently. Ah. All right. First entry, I'm going to call it Color by Ghosting. I wanted to see color again. I knew cutting corners when I bought my second eye was a dumb idea, but I had been low on credits that month. I was paying twice-fold for the old mistake now. My second eye had given out in the middle of that glorified military's library, so I had been without color throughout the escape and while piloting away from the freighter of a civvy ship. Now, I wanted the colors back. On my dash, I have one currently gray, coconut-broad, grass skirt-wearing bauble, which looks a million times better in color. I traded the still-living arm of a dead man on the back street between a shark soup cellar stand and a public loo for the girl. Yes, the smell had been deadly. Yes, the arm was rotten to transport. The cryopod ate through batteries faster than a vampire eats through a small population of townsfolks. Still, I don't regret a single moment of that adventure, because my hula girl bobbles like a babe every time I jump to lightspeed. Wind chimes made from the bones of flapper fingers clink. We're not going to explain how Jenny got those. Let's just leave that story in Hackathorn's grave. A spare box of double aces are stored between the glove compartment and the captain's seat. I think they're normally red or green. I have a few more cigarette boxes hidden around the ship in case Jenny tries to confiscate them. Amongst the mess that was my dash, I had laid out my right eye and was busily attempting to reset it by unscrewing this panel and disconnecting the battery for a split second. Problem was, I only had a Phillips head screwdriver up here. The panel was held in place with those odd 5-pointed stars of screws, the kind companies use to keep people out. I'm sure I had the right screwdriver for the job somewhere, but finding it in this black hole of a messy, repurposed dropship would take forever. So I was using the handy rubber band to remove stripped screws trick. I'd learned the trick somewhere in the Dakota system, but I forget the coordinates now. I was making progress when Jenny came up to me. She swung into her co-pilot's seat as if it were a saloon swivel chair. Then she poked me with the butt end of her shotgun. It was as if she expected me to take the weapon and fix it just because she was being cute. Not today. I tried to ignore her. I pocketed my eye and moved down the stairs to a larger workspace. Following me like a lost dog, she tilted her head at me. I'm weak to her womanly wiles. I took the gun and observed it in keen black and white. Something was off, so I asked Jenny about it. What did you do with your old EV-8? The gun she'd passed me was none other than a Peacekeeper straight off the factory line of Hammond Industries. You mean the one I got in that Angel City bar? Jenny hadn't come with a shotgun. She'd found her first one along the way of one of our exploits. I don't want to explain more of the Angel City bank card scandal. The fact that we needed the shotgun to get out of there alive should tell you just how well that heist went. Let's just leave it at that. Yep, that's the one. I wasn't going to bring up Angel City because I'd start missing the girls from Mavericks and that fantastic burger joint that was Lumpy Burgers. Jenny, if Spectres ever develop a way to taste, we are sneaking back into that forsaken city to get you a Lumpy Burger, okay? I was sitting on the floor while I worked. Jenny sat across from me with all the poise of a tiger lily. She giggled at my melancholy drone. The probability of getting back to that burger joint alive was slim. Peacekeeper's a better gun, and you know it. She'd finished making her point, though it was lost on me. Fixing her Peacekeeper brought me back to my academy days. I didn't exactly look at the gun when I fixed it. I dismantled it, removed the broken hop-up modification, and reassembled it in about 30 seconds. There, now may I fix my eye in peace? I requested, salt dripping off my words. I would never cut you up into pieces. Jenny tilted her head to one side. You're my best friend. She was programmed to say that last part, so don't get the wrong idea and think she cares about me or anything. I'm positive the first part came from her own twisted psyche. Thanks, Jenny. I found myself, smiling sadly at her. I wanted to see the colors again. I managed to unscrew the panel and pop the battery back in and out. A light flickered on where the retina should be on a normal human's eyeball. Gingerly, I brought the fake eye up to my empty socket and pressed hard. It slid in like goo, then popped back into place with a noise to make the weaker of stomach gag. My eyelid fell over the fake eye rapidly in succession as I blinked back into the world of color. I looked around the back of our ship, Lex 1, Wernick, Renket, and Kexon 11 boxes, crates, and sacks as large as fertilizer bags, all in colors of khaki, rose, and forest green. Most of these boxes and crates were stolen. Some were to be resold at the next stop we made in a smuggler's cove, or other black market dealerships we ran into along the way. Others were supplies we used. I had my MRI rations in the Renket bags. Jenny had her spare parts and Kun's toys. Don't ask me what half her tech stuff does. I don't know. I probably did once. But nowadays, I just shoot things and drink away the unanswered questions that haunt me in this life. Where was I? Oh yeah, there was also a WDM recycling bin I had taken from some dinky little planet in the Dakota system. Why, you may ask? Because it was fun, free to me, and mostly easy to nab. Anyway, I think our Tarantula Lees moved into the recycling bin sometime last week. We keep most ammo into the back, but we keep most ammo in the back, but we keep most weapons in the front of the ship. Little silver metal cylinders of death. Sometimes between the hours of 2 and 4000, I wonder about those cylinders of death. I wonder if one of those bullets carries my own death, packed in alongside all the others so cleanly, 1 in a million. Nothing extraordinary about it, nothing to set it apart, nothing to differentiate the snake of a bullet in my garden of ammunition. If I could find that one bullet that would end me, I would cut off its head and shove it in the waste bin. I love the colors of life, and I never want to stop seeing them. I saw Jenny. We had been talking about something. I picked the old conversation back up. I miss Big Bang Pizza, I groaned. It was important to keep my tough guy act. Jenny ridiculed me. You always eat pizza. Pizza is so bad for you. You need to drink smarter with products like Smart Choice's goat milk and fat-reduced milk. You can make the smart choice every day. Smart Choice. Make the smart choice. I narrowed my eyes, both real and fake, to fiery slits of hatred, and glared at the yellow smiley face Jenny had painted around her motion sensor. I think the smart choice would be updating your ad blocker software. When's the last time we did that? She was trying to annoy me now. Aerocola, be bold. I cut her ad off with a curt laugh. She stopped advertising and looked straight at me. She leaned forward and bopped me on the nose with a phalange. Her arms were framed on a polyesterine alloy, stronger and lighter than steel. Her exoskeleton was made of semi-biodegradable plastic. The air bubbles inside the thin sheets were modeled after honeycomb. The wiring was old-school copper. Certain body parts could be popped off and remotely used with a Bluetooth mod once upon a time when she was a newer frame, but I'd lost the charger for the Bluetooth mod a year or two ago. At some point, it just became simpler to remove the Bluetooth mod and save some weight. Her joints I kept oiled and maintained. When a screw fell out, we always fixed it. If she cracked a CPU chip, we bought a new chip. Very little of Jenny was her original model anymore. She'd evolved and changed so much since we'd first met each other so long ago. She'd evolved into the lovely Jenny I knew today. I batted her synthetic head away. I'm still mad at you, I lied. Well then, I'm still mad at you, she taunted. You should apologize to me. I'm the human. I'm always right. You should apologize to me. I'm the robot. I'm never wrong. What about Erebus? What about Talos? Touché, I laughed. We sat quietly for a moment. I looked out the window of the vast sea of stars. Each color of star was different temperature of space fire. Our voyage was a long one. All right, so that was, again, what I'm calling color by ghosting on the Discord server. I'm going to read through some of your chats now. Don't worry, Matt. Yeah, seems like a you problem, Matt. It's already getting really depressing. Oddly specific. Finding a shotgun in a bar. That sounds about right. Not too late. Yep. Drinking and shooting stuff. Drinking and shooting. Sounds like an average Saturday for any mercenary. Right? Is there a sponsor call out there? I don't believe so. She sounds high maintenance. Hey! Like most women. Hey! That was double hey. So, if I can get the gist of this down, I think it's just some smuggler talking with his Spectre, or modified Spectre that he's named Jenny, floating around in a ship and who knows where, and they're essentially having a conversation. I do like the tone of it all, which is somewhat rather maybe melancholy, I think, a little nostalgic. Overall, it's just a very quiet tone. But the language he also uses when describing color, especially because color is supposed to play such a heavy part of this, with him literally being colorblind due to his fake eye. I especially like the last line there, which is, each color of star was a different temperature of space fire. I don't know what it is about that line, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone like describe like the stars in that way, so I thought it was rather unique. I did like it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and load up. If you guys want to ask anything, now's the time to do so, because I'm going to see if I can find the second one and load that one up. Let me crack my neck real quick. Oh, that was good. That was the right side. Let's go left. Oh, that felt good. All right, now for the back. Oh, I didn't get any pops on the back. That sucked. Oh, Well, I guess I'll have to wait to pop my back again, I guess. This is one of my guilty habits, guilty pleasures. I mean, it's cracking my knuckles. Ah, there we go. And my wrist, too. Ah, damn. That was a good one on my left wrist. All right. So this one here again does not have a title. I did not actually know what to call this one. But this one is written by Huntress from the Discord server. These short stories, I'm going to call them, are about Titanfall 2, right? Like I said, they're all set within the universe within Titanfall that I created called the Architect Codex. So it's a series of novels that I wrote. If someone else is kind enough, they might leave you a link or something to them. I don't know. Yeah, Olympus has got it. Jeez, I'm yawning too much. Okay. T00020343. Alright, kids, you know the drill. Next mission in 2 hours. You know where to find me. Barker stumbled off to the humble home that was his ops center terminal. I watched as he pulled out a small bottle from a hidden crate under his desk, as was routine for just before a mission. I wandered over to my terminal and sat down, and in the corner of my HUD I saw the countdown, watching each second tick by. I had to admit, this had been quite a journey, but something about this mission felt different, and I just couldn't place it. I'm detecting abnormal brain activity. What's wrong? Ow, son of a bitch. That was not part of the story. Son of a bitch. Damn, I just hit my hand on the desk. Like a dunce. I like how evolution has come so far that I'm still retarded enough to hurt myself just by hitting my hand on a desk. It's like biting your cheek. It's like, what animal is dumb enough to wound itself by biting its own cheek? Ugh. Anyway. I'm detecting abnormal brain activity. What's wrong? Reading my mind as always, my Titan CS-1821 was being prepped for the mission. Well, as prepped as she could be with all of my custom mods. Nothing's wrong. I'm just thinking. What are you thinking about with such intensity? Have they finished prepping you yet, Case? Do not evade my question, Vera. Fine. I'm just thinking about the first mission. I can't shake the feeling that we missed something. This data we retrieved is incomplete, I know, but its architecture, it looked too familiar. I doubt you will resolve it before the mission, but maybe start from the beginning and work your way towards the present. It's a common method. I'll think about it. 3 years is a bit far. Hey, shut it. Do you want me to think or not? All right, this is either going to work like a charm or blow up in my face. Let's do this. My lifelong friend Karn was hiding behind a corner as he was waiting to grab the first aid kit and begin the boot sequence of our makeshift Titan. It was hard making one from scrap, but even harder was hiding it from prying eyes. 3, 2, 1, mark. Boom! The lights went out, and nothing but a small blue optic remained in our vision. We must have caused a power outage in this part of the city, but I didn't care. It meant that it had worked. CS-1821 fully operational, awaiting link to pilot. We screamed in the darkness out of joy like the children we were. 4 years of hard work and code, oh, so much code, finally paid off. The lights came back on. Okay, fixed the power issue. It's now running off the internal battery. Let's get everyone and tell them the news and get some food too. I'm starving, he stated, with the biggest grin on his face I'd ever seen. For a few teenagers, making a Titan was a massive achievement. We went to our local hangout, a small restaurant you'd think had cockroaches or rodents. Good food, horrible atmosphere. Mostly empty, but we were too young to go to any kind of bar, so this was the closest we got. Today, the TV was quietly telling itself about an attack on a low-flying frigate and overdramatically remarking on the number of innocent lives lost, from people jumping into fan blades. We went to our normal bench near the back and spotted someone in our place. Sorry, kids. You aren't normally here this early. He was a rare occurrence of a person, tall, unkempt, and smelled of moonshine. Never would have thought this drunk could change lives. It's all right. We'll take this table, offered San, doing her normal habit of being polite in public. She was a general's daughter and on a fairly tight leash. Her time with us was the only point in her day she could be herself. What are you doing here so soon? Celebrating. Celebrating what? He always liked to ask questions, but we never answered him fully. We had too many secrets to keep. We finished fixing something. Runs like a beauty. So that's what that power outage was. You kids screwing around. I was in a call, you know. He pulled out a small computer and played an audio recording. The black market's the only place with data cores, and we don't know where it was our voices. Suddenly, I noticed two things that were extremely out of place. First, the place was extremely empty. Second, there was a militia insignia, faded, popping out of his left breast pocket, as though he had tried to cover it up. Seeing it made a chill go down my spine. The look on your face says you figured it out. Listen up, kids, because this is where it gets tricky. Either you run and get busted for all your shenanigans, he let out a sigh, or do the smart thing and listen to my offer. That recording was from 3 months ago. I remember the conversation being about the final piece of case, and we would let it decide who it wanted as acting pilot. He knew everything about the project from a single conversation. This militia prick was spying on us the whole time. A small wave of nausea hit me. Well, we're listening. Heh, you're a smart bunch. And entertaining, too. He took a big swig from his flask. There's going to be an attack tomorrow, and if you're willing to board a shuttle and abandon everything you have, you might actually live to tell about it. It made sense. Since the battle on Demeter, the militia have been going after research bases, and there's one right next door. I thought long and hard. My friends were the only people I cared about, but Case, we couldn't just abandon her. She was too big to fit on any shuttle. It would take forever for her to eject from her chassis so soon. I'd made my choice. No. T00000412. Tristan had become the ultimate hub for all research until it destroyed itself. IMC records state that a terraforming AI went rogue and destroyed the planet's atmosphere as an attempt to gain control. Finding its location was top priority, and since 4 went missing, the 6-4 had their hands tied. We were the only ones available for a mission of this caliber. And risk. I'm dropping you kids off at the shuttle bay, and you can infiltrate from there. Plan is to get in and get out. He wasn't actually the one flying us as much as we'd like to believe it. We had Tyler do it. The first and last time Barker flew us, we ended up in a dune pit somewhere on Naga. Finally! Now let's go get some data, yeah? Alex was always cocky on infiltrations, but he enjoyed the thrill of not being seen, as it was his specialty. We know the plan, Barker. Keep the drinks cold for us. All right, Briggs is here. She'll be watching your every move from now on. Commander Briggs was already in a bad mood, having just found out about our little covert missions, so this was Barker's way of doing damage control, showing us off to the only person who needed to know we existed. Onyx Squadron, obtain the remaining information on any AI-related files and get out of there. Copy? You could hear the aggravation in her voice as she was undoubtedly expecting a disaster, given both Barker's track record and her lack of confidence in us. Copy, ma'am. The dropship's doors opened just as it halted, and we sprinted out, activating our cloaks and hoping for good luck. T00000000. I waited patiently as the promised shuttle entered the atmosphere. We were all hiding in the nearby buildings. We knew what was coming, and we'd made a plan. The ship was just approaching the city when we heard the turret ready. Its anti-aircraft build was efficient in taking it out in one go. As if its crash had been a lit flare, a militia fleet entered the atmosphere, raining ammunition and soldiers down on civilians and grunts. We started Phase 2. Okay, everyone grab your stuff from the stashes and meet near the harbor front. We had hidden stolen jump kits and armor, as well as weapons in special points all around the city. We knew that if the militia were coming in anywhere, it would be the big open area that we called the docks. Case was hiding in a loading area a block away, awaiting my arrival. Getting her there was an adventure in itself. The link we established the night before was buggy, all things considered. Once I ignored the sharp static glitches in my head, it was good enough to fight. Barely. Vera, the first militia group has made Titanfall. Let's get this party started. With my heart pumping and spirits blazing, I climbed into the belly of the beast, my new beast. I had read what links were like. I even tried a simulator once, but this was so different. It's almost like an assistant, or a best friend. We sprinted as fast as her boosters could carry us, and were met with an army of titans, each donning unique colors coldly staring back at us. Some bright neon orange, others so battle-worn their colors were nothing but that of sharp, marred metal. Most I haven't seen since. A titan in the back readied its rifle, so I opened my comms to the militia open channel, ready for backlash from Case's standard red and white IMC bits. Barker, you know the base is over there, right? I could hear snickers and cheers of excitement over the private comm line. Well, I'll be damned. All of you get out of here. I'm not having dead kids on my conscience. Barker, you can't stop us from fighting. You know that. The little square in my HUD with his face was dissatisfied. He was visibly thinking about his options, and I was losing what little patience I had. We began to walk away as I grabbed our giant sword from its holster. I had found its pieces in some wreckage a few months back, and thought it could do some damage. I didn't know what it was made of, but it had a certain weight to it that I was quite fond of. Barker sighed, admitting defeat. Fine, just stay in the back and don't get killed. Now those are orders we can take, Commander Captain, sir, shouted Alex. I snickered a bit, knowing that the only order we were going to take was to not die. We marched in through an endless slaughter, taking down Titan after Titan. The others were stealing batteries and bombing enemies with grenades. It was hard, but after half an hour of pushing forwards, we had finally made it to the entrance. What now? I broadcast, hoping to hear someone's voice that wasn't screaming. We're losing, and badly. The infiltration team was taken out, so I don't see how we can... Karn, Alex, get to the entrance. I'm gonna bust it open. You two get the data, and I'll be covering your backs. San, Tyler, you two are the welcome party for any backup. Too many people lost their lives, and if we were going to finish this, we needed to do it quietly. Switching to private comms. Don't you dare... I knew Barker would be pissed. This is crazy. What are we even looking for? I could hear in his voice that Alex was concerned. We were all scared. There was no point in hiding it. This was suicide. But we had to focus. We had to finish this. All right, I found a good access point. But what do we need? It sounded like the fight was drawing closer to me, just like I wanted. We could hear static and shouting in the back as I returned to the main broadcast, finding he turned on his mic. Grab anything Titan and AI. We heard they might have serious upgrades stashed away. Hey, you! Get that evac on it. Glad I wasn't there during that bout of chaos. I saw a Titan marching our way, an ogre model. It was outfitted with some kind of heavy machine gun. Looked like its bullets could punch through steel. Time to test a new toy. Case, is there any kind of core online? Checking diagnostics? Sword core online. Activate it. All at once, the whirring of servos warming up and the sword we held amping engulfed the sound of the bullets that peppered our fragile chassis. I could feel her digging around my mind, analyzing my every thought as I could feel each bullet connect with her limbs. Normally this would feel wrong, invasive even, but it was like there was a spot in my mind that had always been reserved for her, and she finally claimed her seat. At that moment we truly became one. It overwhelmed me with the combination of our emotions that I still can't put into words. You still can't put into words, my bad. Screaming as loud as my lungs could handle, we sprinted from side to side, getting as close as we could and slashing the electrified sword right into the ogre's exposed waist joint, splitting it in half. It sparked and died out on the floor, the pilot trapped inside. It was the first kill that I felt was ours, and I realized how deadly we were together. Done, Karn shouted as they sprinted to meet me down the hall. That was too fast. You must have... Barker tried to contest, but he wasn't aware of our upgrades, or how fast Alex could run his mouth. Nope, we got it all, every last bit. Where's that evac point, Barty? Still shaking from killing a few grunts, he seemed excited to get off the planet for once. It was going to be a new experience for all of us, an entire frontier to explore, one worth fighting for. Evacs dropping in right at the entrance. ETA, 20 seconds. There was something off when we finally made it outside. It was quiet. For the battle that took place a few minutes prior, there wasn't so much as a cry for help. Concerned, I used our private line. "Where is everyone?" San, with a now broken arm piece and cracked visor, stated what slowly became obvious to us. "They're dead. Everyone evacuated, and whoever was left was picked off. We're all that's left, militia and IMC. The ship came, and we evacuated from our old lives, but we've never looked back. We have never regretted our choice." T00001100. Our helmets were sealed and connected to an oxygen supply, as the atmosphere was thick with an ungodly toxic gas. The plant life was wilted and dying if not dead, and the water from a nearby fountain filled red and orange with algae. I was beginning to believe Gates didn't take the mission because it wasn't pretty enough for her. We were halfway down a maintenance tunnel when we saw what was hiding. There was a vast cavern, likely a few square miles of pure robotic assembly, making twisted and armed monstrosities that we couldn't hope to recognize, parts being welded onto them that didn't look functional, but added for the sake of adding. Whatever had made them was completely insane. "We gotta keep moving," San whispered, trying to snap us out of our shock. Agreed, we better not kick the hornet's nest. We wandered through the nearly infinite tunnels, seeing how much progress this program had made in its short time of being unleashed. Every few feet we found a dead scientist or a guard half decomposed and dried out like a mummy. Their deaths would not have been quick or painless, forcing me to pity them. "Found the access point. Cover me." Karn was going to retrieve any information we could find on its last location. My money was on it watching us. I observed anxiously as he used his data knife, waiting for alarms or the army below us to fight back. "Come on, you pricks, we can take you. Just show your faces and let me shoot 'em." Silence. Not even the interface made sound. I expected an ambush. Wouldn't have been the first time, but it was deathly quiet. We're too late. We were bewildered. Nothing ever goes like this. It's never this quiet. We're never late. There's never a peaceful encounter, not on our missions. "What do you mean, too late?" Briggs sounded as though she was expecting this outcome, that she expected us to fail. "The IMC got it a while ago by the looks of it. They're going to wipe it and reuse its tactics as a war machine under a new name. It won't be terraforming anything, but it's going to have a rotten attitude towards militia. They're going to make another spyglass." I'll be honest, I was relieved. There was no longer a threat of it doing this to other planets, but if they were using it for battle strategy, then the next few years are going to be covered in blood. "All right, we have the data. Let's get out of here before something wakes up." "Say that and you'll jinx it." Tyler was right, my luck was horrendous. Stealthily, we made our way out of the research base, carefully not to touch anything. Tyler brought down the cloaked dropship, and we swiftly led the nightmare that this thing had created, hoping to never see such a tragedy again. T00003400. "All of you are a pain in the ass, you know that?" Flask in hand, the drunken commander stumbled our way. "Well, now we're your pain in the ass." San had an idea on the widow that we had to admit would be awesome if it worked. We had a plan, this time for Barker. His face revealed his confusion over the statement. "As a commander, you have the power to form new squadrons of pilots whenever you please within reason. We would like to request that—" "Okay, I see what you're doing. I can't babysit you all day." Not only did he not want to take care of us, but he also didn't want to do the paperwork. "You wouldn't have to. We can take care of ourselves, even out here. All you have to do is give us a location and an objective. The best part is, you will get all the cred from the higher-ups." San always had a way with words to get people to do what she wanted, and this was her time to shine. "I'll think about it. But," he took a swig from his flask, trying to relax from the chaos on the bridge, "thank you for getting the data, for fighting." He let out a long sigh, trying to make a decision. "And, welcome to the militia, kids." T-23-23-3808. Although it was a pretty uneventful mission, this data was crucial if the militia was going to get the upper hand. Once we handed over the data to Briggs, she had her people analyzing it for weeks. She was briefing other commanders on what we found, of course giving Barker credit. It was mostly facts that we already knew from past missions when it suddenly hit me like 1,000 bricks. Case! Case! Damn it. I'm here. What is it? I figured it out. Why it looked so familiar. And? It's an AI. A sentient AI, one with no restrictions whatsoever. Case, it uses almost the same architecture as you. I wanted to shout it on the voice channel, but I had to calm down. I could tell Barker after. What is the name of the new strategist program? Someone said. Everyone's focus was on Briggs, checking her notes from the analysts. It's called Talos. And that was Huntress's submission. Easily the longest submission of any of the other entrants. Gosh. As far as the actual writing goes, I feel that definitely, like, grammar, there were, like, a few mistakes here and there. The actual writing as dialogue sometimes felt a little unnatural. Something that really would have helped is I get the feeling that this story was flashing backward and forward from the present to the past and back to the present. And it was using those T plus, like, timestamps in order to indicate when it was. But I think that something that might have really helped would have been if they were written distinguishingly. So, like, if the past was written in italics or if the present was written in, standard, like some kind of differentiation like that, or even like proper transitions, like a ... or like a hard line, something along those lines might have been better to, probably distinguish those. But overall, I think it was a decent story. That's 2 different stories now that have referenced Talos. The first one with color, talking about how there was a mistake to do with Talos, and then this one talking about how there's this AI whose architecture matches that of her Titan, her custom Titan that she built, I guess. And the new AI strategist that came from the Terraformer, I think, is called Talos. The interesting thing is that I don't have anything called Talos in my story, so this is something completely original. So either they were collaborating, which, I mean, kudos to you guys if you had the same, like, idea to discuss it with each other, or if it was a total coincidence, or maybe there's something in the Titanfall lore that is called Talos that I haven't picked up on yet and I haven't seen, in which case they might have both been referencing that. Either way, good entry. I need my water bottle here. That's why I have this. Jeez, because my throat is getting dried up and scratchy. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to look at the chat here. Starfall ASMR. No. Tack link. Yeah, that's right. We can't link anything in the Discord chat. I mean, sorry, I keep saying Discord chat, in the YouTube chat. Wow, my knuckles have all reset already, so I can pop them again. Unfortunately. Worms, what worms, where worms? Matt, top 10 writer, not so much speaker. Yeah, if I have time, this is the thing. So I can read really, really fast, at least compared to other people who would probably be going like... And then they went... I remember that was one of the things that irked me when I was growing up, like, reading. Because I had no idea about this, like, until I guess I discussed it with others. But I was always, like, on a reading level, like, 4 grades to 4 years above wherever I was at the time. So I remember, like, one moment in, like, 7th grade or whatnot, where we were all reading Beowulf. And I had, like, picked up the excerpt, and I was like, Beowulf strode forward with confidence in his step, brandishing his sword like the true weapon it was against Grendel, this demon from the night, or whatever. And other people would pick it up and go, Grendel screamed and raised their hand up to block the blood. And I was just like, what? Titanfall lore, probably. Terraforming an automated life control operations. Oh, that's got to be Titanfall lore then. Huh. Interesting. That's something that I've never seen. Definitely should probably consider reading up on it, I guess. See what all the big hullabaloo is about. Please show up so we can murder you all. Horrendous luck sounds like Han Solo. Was this contest? Yeah. Write a story within the tack story. Yep. All right, so the next entry Let me see if I'm doing this in order. Yeah, so this next entry is by Wanderer on the Discord server, and it is called Blood and Falling Snow. And this one actually really surprised me. I didn't expect to get an entry from Wanderer, and I was very surprised by how good this one is. I think the next three are going to be much shorter than the one I just read, so if anyone's getting a little antsy, don't worry about it. Let me see. I'm the most monotone guy you'll ever hear. I remember reading full novels in a day, a couple stories. Let me see. Huntress's entry was definitely the longest. All right. So again, this is Blood and Falling Snow by Wanderer. The work never seemed to end. Even when the radio's calls went from barking out advance orders and movements to retreats and medevacs, my work never seemed to pause long enough for an actual break. When men and women are shot and bleeding out there in the hell that's called combat, my job is to keep them alive. And being a medic, it isn't easy. When you come out of med school and volunteer for service, thinking that it'll be a hell of an adventure saving lives, the first time you see a guy atomized by a plasma railgun tends to shatter those perceptions. That'd been 3 years ago for me now, and the work still hadn't ended. I didn't even know the name of the planet we were on right now, only that we had to hold it and keep fighting until backup came. And troopers like me, our job was to keep folks alive. That's how I found myself in the situation I did. If you ever hear someone tell you that medics are protected by some war treaty on Earth, they're lying to you. That's why I was clutching a P-2011 as I ran across the battlefield, skidding from cover to cover as gunfire was exploding all around me, rubble raining down from an exploding building down the road. Gremlin 2-4 to all stations, we need suppression on the X. Enemy forces coming about Watts Road. Read 20 foot mobiles and 3. Say again 3 Tango uniforms. Do you copy? Howled the radio in the midst of the droning snow, drawing curses from men around me as we piled into an alleyway for shelter. It was a mess of tracers in the storm, and more than once I'd tripped over the rapidly freezing body of someone. I didn't know who. The call of 3 enemy titans concerned me, because that told right then and there that whoever engaged those damn things were about to get slammed without armor support of their own. Excuse me. Hawk 1-5 here, we're on our way. Hold on. God, I pitied those poor bastards. Our squad sergeant shook his head and waved us on, moving down the alley between a few prefab houses. All around us, the sounds of combat went on with a fury like little else in the world, and all that ran through my head at the moment was that as I was waved out of the alleyway, was, God, when we want a town, we want it. The road was empty, and thermal wasn't picking anything up as I began to run, my boots crunching through the deep snowpack as I booked it like a thief in the night for the other side. Some blast crater that I hadn't seen earlier tripped me up halfway through, and my cry of shit was almost lost in the wind and sounds of gunfire as I pitched forward. The landing was soft, sure, but the sudden snow covering my face produced an instant of sheer animal panic that had me in a split second rolling over and batting the soft, fluffy white away from my face with rapid motions of my hands. "Wallen, come on!" called one of my squad mates, skidding to a halt and grabbing me by the shoulders, though more accurately my coat, and helped me to stand on the slippery white bullshit all around us. The storefront we were heading to loomed large, and with my squad mate's help I ran for it with only a couple of stumbles. Inside was no warmer than without, and arguably felt colder somehow, but at least it was out of the wind. Comfy empty shelves and broken glass, am I right? Rubbing my arms took my mind a bit off of the fact that a single rocket would kill us all for a moment, and rather put my mind on just how hard this all sucked. But the sergeant snapped me out of that too when he smacked a shelf to get our attention. All of us looked over at him like meerkats as he listened to the radio, then nodded in response to something. "Copy, Angel 2, he stated simply, then pointed over to me and 2 other men. "We've got casualties on Daubry and 5th, and the squad over there is calling for med support. You 3, get over there fast. We'll rejoin you when we can." And there they were, the orders I hadn't wanted to hear but knew were coming. As I said, the work never ends, and right now people needed us. "Copy that, Sarge," I nodded, making sure my kit was secure before I got to my feet with a crunch of glass. Both men that had been assigned to the mission, I suppose you could call it, followed me out into the street, and the 3 of us began to move down the street at a jog. The wind had begun to pick up in the few minutes that we'd been in the store, and if we hadn't had our data pads with GPSs, we'd have been utterly lost. The cold didn't help either, biting into us like 1,000 tiny daggers, even with our kit. That's what happens when you're infantry. You get the lesser shit in every situation. But at the very least, the cold meant that the wounded wouldn't be bleeding as fast, nor would I and my buddies be easy to see. Everybody, and I mean everybody, it seemed, was wearing a gray set of kit, or white kit in this weather regardless of side, and that made it hard to tell who was who without IFF. The weather, of course, helped us blend in better, and with no fire coming our way, we double-timed it for Dobry and 5th, down the hill we'd been on and then along the stream. The town was an absolute mess around us, and there were a few times that we had to duck into a ruined building or behind a pile of rubble to avoid an enemy patrol or Titan. We were medics, and only one of us had a weapon larger than a damn pistol. The sound of gunfire was a constant companion, and we'd been in the area so long that we could identify it by sound alone. Lots of R-101s in that firefight down the road, for instance, or a Spitfire laying down suppression in a house nearby. Fortunately, aside from a few stray rounds, nothing actually came all that close to us, and believe you me, with some of the stuff I saw in play, I was glad for that. We'd become so intent on crossing to where we needed to be that when we actually got to the street, it came as a bit of a shock. The street had been a bit of a defensive position, and from the looks of things, they'd gotten slammed pretty hard. Bodies and what looked like flaming wreckage strewn across the street on the other side of the line, the entire place wreathed in gun smoke being whipped away by the wind. The wounded were laying out behind a few sandbag walls, while the dead were someplace we couldn't see, and as we approached, the roughed-up, tired-looking sergeant lit up when he saw us. Things looked a lot worse than I had thought they would be in my head, and I motioned my buddies ahead to get to work. "We're from Sullivan's unit," I supplied, and the sergeant without a word handed me a cigarette, reached out with a small disposable lighter, and only when I had a lungful of smoke did he speak. "Good to see you, Private," he said with a grunt, looking out over the sandbags with his own smoke clenched between his teeth, stubble frosted over. The man looked like he needed 3 days' sleep. We all did, to be honest, but he smiled grimly, looking over at me. "We've got half my men wounded, 4 of those critical. We'll hold out here, so get to work." "Yes, Sergeant," I nodded, and moved over to the wounded. I'd been right about one thing. The cold was slowing the bleeding. However, it was making damn near everything else harder. I didn't hesitate and got to work right away, starting with a guy who'd, well, I'd put it as not going to be playing tennis for a while. Getting the shrapnel out was the easy part with a magnet, and a lot of use of forceps once I'd gotten him sedated, and when the metal was out, then came the task of stopping the bleeding. Things seemed to blur as time went by, going through the motions over and over and over again. Over and over and over again to make sure this guy and then his buddy didn't bleed out here, waiting for evac that might not come for a good long time. When his first guy was done, patched up, and stabilized, I moved on to the next, and this guy was even more of a mess with his chest done in, what felt like 4 ribs broken when I started pressing around. When the poor bastard yelped, I grimaced and kicked myself for forgetting to sedate him before I started. He wasn't going to be an easy one to take care of no matter how I sliced it, but I got to work and kept going. I was still in the midst of keeping this poor fucker alive and breathing when I heard the gunfire and felt the heat of something big exploding. I couldn't exactly care about it with a man still possibly dying under my hands, and I kept going. Go through the motions, sterilize the wound, stop bleeding, seal the source of bleeding to prevent more, remove shrapnel or shattered bone, etc., etc., right the way down the line. There was no means nor reason to stop, and so I kept going, even when I felt heavy thudding footsteps approaching the barricade. The other wounded man near me cried out in alarm, and I heard my buddies dropping their weapons and raising their hands. But I didn't. Me, the sleeves of my uniform jacket red up to near my elbow as the Titan pointed its weapon at me, and I could feel the heat of the barrel. "Toss any weapons you've got away, Grunt," the pilot of that machine snarled over a loudspeaker, and I calmly opened my holster and tossed the P-2011 away onto the pavement. "Do you mind?" I asked, looking up into the barrel of that autocannon, a knot of fear growing in my gut, but I had to keep my cool. I've got work to be doing here. And that was Blood and Falling Snow by The Wanderer. Oh, jeez. I don't know why I'm so tired today. I think it has to do with the fact that I've gotten really intermittent, 5-hour sleep. I was up till, I think, 5 in the morning last night. So that sucked. But this right here, this one is definitely I think one of the top contenders, just because I really liked how it was written. I liked the language. I liked the tone. I liked the character. Most people, myself included, I think tend to write in third person because for the most part it is easier than first person. I do also like to write in third person because you can have multiple characters' perspectives rather than just one, or at least it makes it easier to transition. But the way that this was written was really well done. It reminded me a lot of Hacksaw Ridge and the story of Desmond Doss, the conscientious cooperator, and the only conscientious objector to receive the Medal of Honor at that point, I think. So I definitely appreciated the less war-oriented perspective on this, because it definitely didn't go into, I fired at the enemies with like R101, or I dove over cover and tossed a few nades to blow these guys, which I'm guilty of doing too. That's like probably my main source of writing. This was all about a guy who is trying to put some good back into the world and heal people rather than take other lives. So I thought it was decent. I thought it was a really, really good entry. All right, so we have two more stories. One is by Disobeyed Bull, and the other is by Kai the Foe. I think Kai's has a title. I'm not sure about Bull's. Yeah, Bull's doesn't have a title either. I did read Bull's ahead of time, just like the others. Let me see, $4.25. Yeah, I'm not giving away $425 there, Alistair. Sorry. Let's see. We've gotten the perspective of a smuggler, a child soldier. Still don't know how I feel about that. And a medic. What next? I'm excited. I believe the next one is a captain. In the Discord, apparently links can't be sent here. We've gotten, yeah. Did I miss it? Anytime. I'm just trying to read back chat. Oh, Brannon. I think Brannon is Wanderer then. There we go. Yeah, that Brannon is Wanderer. Congratulations, Brannon. That was really well done. Yeah, he's talking about how he didn't know what side the medic was, or he didn't state it. I did also notice that at the end it could be militia or IMC coming up on him, and I did like that touch because a lot of people have like a negative view of the IMC, and it could be that this guy's a good guy working for the IMC to heal other people, and you didn't need that flair to just taint people's perspective of him. No matter what, in this case, if you don't tell the which side he's on, he's a good guy, and I did like that about it. Let me see. Bull sneaks in for the win. So this next one is by Bull. I'm loading it up right now on my phone. And this one here takes place during Tempest, I think, right when the amalgamation is becoming a prevalent threat. I don't think amalgamation is ever said or the seed is ever talked about in here, but I'm sure you guys will recognize it. Jesus. Okay, so I've got a problem here, which is that the Discord app only wants to load these pages as full pages, and I can't read that small. And if I zoom in, then I miss text. So I'm gonna see what I can do. Oh man, yeah, this is gonna be difficult. Okay. My phone here is the thing that's loading it up, so that's why I'm talking about it. But all right, let's try this. Sigma Wing, launch. Copy. The thumps reverberated throughout the hull of the ship as the strike craft departed. Sigma Wing away. Sir, guns coming online now. Copy, Nav. Give me a 3.5 at 057. Delta, start a break-off. I need someone to take out the strike craft. The ship shuddered and roared as engines kicked into life, shaking the vessel as it turned, sluggishly responding to the commands inputted by the navigation officer. Delta Wing, breaking off. No fixed formation. Burn parallels. Tango Wing here. Permission to launch. We'll take up Delta's spot in the screen. Negative. Delta, you get one good pass on incoming, then break off and head back to us. As soon as you're in the cage, we'll make for the jump point and get out of here. Copy that piece. One good run, then we'll about and get the burners on. Delta out. The lead pilot was too jovial, the tone just a bit too forced to be believable. All things considered, it was probably the best thing he could have done. Good stuff, the captain nodded. Get us turned about. I want 3 nav routes, the usual. Captain, I've detected additional large masses approaching at speed. The urgency and general concern in the systems operator caught the attention of the entire bridge crew. The splintered masses I initially tagged to be heavy fighter craft may not be what I initially assumed. They aren't making any move to engage the fighters. The craft in question appeared on the main tactical screen, a large, mostly shapeless coagulation of matter, spinning and spiraling around in no particular order. Sir, it's not matching anything fully. It's coming up as an organic base. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's too messy for us to pull any real information out of it. The lieutenant leaned into his screen, reading something from one of the dialogue boxes. It's gaining on us, sir. If we keep waiting for all the craft, we'll be caught in half an hour. Fuck! The captain looked up, out of the front-facing windows, gazing out into the vast, unyielding black, broken periodically by the glint of one of his fighters in their slow, orbiting patrol paths. He turned on his heel, pacing back towards the monitor. You sure? The question was spoken to no one in particular. Yes, sir. It's heading this way, possibly increasing in velocity as it goes. If we want to outrun it, we're going to have to leave now. If you want to get all the support craft back into the ship, we could be off much faster. Without it, I give us a 3-minute window for jump. Call on the wings, get Delta on the phone, tell him to turn around. Copy. The 2 comm ops replied in unison. Alpha through Sigma wings, everyone back inside. The left officer was calm enough, a trace of the unease that was thick in the air in her voice. Sis says this thing will catch us if we don't burn and turn. A chorus of acknowledgments sounded, with lights popping up on the console signaling affirmative as well. Pneumatic drivers hissed, once again filling the ship with noise, ship lights ticking off as they entered their hangars. Sir, permission to contact Delta Wing? Command, this is Delta. No response to the missile firing. We're turning about. Get the hangar ready. Good of you to call, Delta. We're just prepping a burn and turn. Get back here on the double, align to the exit vector, make good headway, and we'll drag you in. If not, we'll catch you in the cage. Copy. We're on our way. The comm cut off short. The captain looked up, taking 3 long strides over to the comm station. Was that a bad trigger, or did we just lose them? Unsure, sir. I've still got their comm signal, so they're still out there. Keep an ear out? Sis, get me power to the main rear-facing guns, track Delta in. I want CIWs and the 40s tracking them, he barked out. I need a team to get down to Delta's hangar, make sure they're all clear when they land. He turned away. Yes, sir. Quietly talking into the mic on his collar. Very good. I need a spec wep team down to the tubes. He turned back. We're authorized to use our warheads to cover our jump. Sir, there was a second's hesitation between the order and the system's response. They're on it. He turned around, talking quietly into his mic. 10 decks below them, a team of troopers were suiting up for an extended EVA, had 2 of their number pulled unexpectedly for... Sorry. It's difficult to read, like I said. It's like super, super small font here. I'm going to try reading that again. 10 decks below them, a team of troopers were suiting up for an extended EVA and had 2 of their number pulled unexpectedly away for no given reason. Warheads are locked, sir. It was loaded, sir. It was a delicate job to say the least, maneuvering in a lower G environment while carrying weapons that weren't quite considered good for general military use. Get that tube up and running again. We'll check the rest once the first is green. Copy that, son. We're working on a 10-minute timer here. The captain was sounding more nervous now. Delta are KIA. Whatever we're dealing with took them out too fast for anyone to respond. Yes, sir. Tube 10 is good to go. Running the rest now. You sure about this, Chief? The second trooper asked, the jaundiced glow of the diagnostic screen the only thing lighting her face in the moment. Doesn't this all seem a little too below board? Might be, Kel, but at this point we haven't got a choice. Orders are orders, kid. Yes, sir, she nodded. Just doesn't feel right. What could take out a flight without any of them having a chance to report? Bad debris field. He brushed the question away. One of the risks of the job. Of course, she nodded. Oh, excuse me. That's why we're currently loading fusion warheads into these missiles. Sir, with all due respect, you can cut the crap. The senior spec wep paused for a second, just one, before resuming running the tests on the final few tubes. You know why we keep these tac wep around? Yes, sir, in case the war ever went hot, so to speak. She was proud of her knowledge on the war, and it showed. Never deployed by the IMC for fear of triggering a string of dirty bomb attacks, the likes of which would ruin the land for hundreds of miles in every direction. Well, what's currently heading towards us is bigger than the war. Big enough for someone from HICOM to buzz down the chain far enough to give us the order to load them. If we're cracking open nav spec war... Jesus, there's so many science jargon here that it's hard for me to speak. If we're cracking open nav spec wep, we're in the shit. The pad beeped. Done. Come on, let's get the hell out of here. Jump in 3. Missiles armed, sir. Good. Get a firing solution on the main mass. I want every missile we've got fired on that thing before we jump out. Target approaching maximum effective range for the railgun, sir, Sis reported. Permission to fire? Granted. The ship shook with twin thumps, jolting everyone backwards slightly. CIWS is reporting something on their TIL, flagging as E. Well, tell them to open fire, the captain sounded nervous. Thought you said they wouldn't be here for another 5 minutes. No, sir, the mainmast won't. The ship thudded again, 6 impacts this time. We may be running into something of a strike group or a boarding party, either positioned ahead of us or having caught us up. Get word to command, the captain nodded, sitting down for the first time in almost 3 hours. Fuck it, get me a line to everyone you can, every commander, every backwater general and trader. Sir? People need to know. If this is hostile, which it appears to be, then people need to know that it's coming. So buzz every available network and send what data we have to everyone. It won't be much before we jump, but it'll be better than nothing. Contact internal! Creatures, fall back, fall back! A garbled comm was made briefly, sputtering in and out of a digital mess. Massive numbers of hostile boarding personnel, sir. The rattle of a gun being fired on a fully automatic rung down the mic, drowning out the words for a few seconds. They go down easy enough, but there's a lot of them. The transmission cut off again. Lock down the ship, give a 30-second warning, then purge, he barked out. Blast door slammed into place across the bulkheads onto the bridge. Keep bridge pressure. Sir, contact on... Team, don't go down. Ordnance will be overrun. Send up. Purge warning, 5 seconds. The captain was panicked now. Boarding parties were never a good sign. Alarms screamed out their warnings, sending troopers scrambling for respiratory equipment. Less than a second after most had their mask over their face, air rushed away from them. Men screamed as they tumbled towards the vents, the sudden outrushing of air sending them cannoning into walls, ceilings, and others. The shatter of masks was loud for a moment, then quieted down to an almost icy quiet. A screen scrolled across a few lines of text in the bridge. Contact established. MIL-S Briggs, IMC CMD Graves, IMC CMD Blisk, MIL-64 CMD Gates, IMC Spyglass, Code I, he of. Data transmission is in progress. Missile system firing to solution. It would have been hard to express any real emotion as the missiles streaked towards their targets. 9 of them arced up into the plane of the ship's axis, looping around gracefully to slam back into the ship, a last-minute change by the sys-op as the extent of the attack became clear. One shot out further, before looping around and slamming into the nose of the ship, detonating after a 3-meter hole was carved into the hull. The heat spread rapidly in the airless environment, shockwaves radiating out, rippling through reinforced titanium battle plate. There weren't many payloads that could rip the nose of a ship, and this one did just that. The bow fractured, the front of the ship opening like a can as the missile's pure white glow dimmed to orange, then red, then fading away to nothing as the ship drifted, lifeless. That was Nightmare Fuel 101 from Disobeyed Bull. As far as I can tell, essentially... there we go. Essentially, as far as I can tell, this is the story of a ship's captain during one of the first engagements with the Seed and the Amalgamates as a whole. And it looks like the Amalgamates, especially the smaller boarding craft surrounding the Seed, the pods, were puncturing the ship and boarding the craft itself to infect the crew and essentially take it over. And so instead of making the jump, it looks like the ship changed its firing solution and sent out its missiles to arc back into themselves and blow themselves up, rather than let it spread. it's I do like how he hints at the amalgamation and the seed itself without ever actually saying the seed or the amalgamation or giving any kind of hint. And there's also this kind of dark undertone that the order to change the sys op of the firing solution came from the others, unless essentially what ended up happening was they transmitted the data that they had been trying to transmit to all of the people that had been mentioned, which could very well have happened. It like I said, the font was making it a little difficult for me to read, so I may have gotten like one or two words wrong. And overall, it was really well done, but there was a lot of science jargon kind of put into it that also made it difficult to read. But overall, I really, really liked this story. That was definitely one of my favorites. Is this Jonah from Shift? No. Let me see. I'm going to read chat. We're watching a live on a stream. Matt, I'm a bounce. Good luck with your contest. Thank you. Y'all can just split the 25 evenly and be $5 richer. When does Matt ever look? Excuse me, guys. I am trying. Why am I reading it on my phone? Because this is on my computer right now. When I bring up the stuff on my computer, then this stuff goes away. Let's see. Oh, the font. No, it wasn't the font. It wasn't the font at all. It was the size of the font, and it wasn't even your fault there. Basically, on my phone, it was just coming up really small, Bull. And I'm reading it on my phone right now, all the entrance. So it was just hard for me to read it because it was so small. Not because of what kind of font it was or anything. So that was Disobeyed Bull's Nightmare Fuel, like I said again. The last entry is from Kai the Foe, or Kai the Fox, but misspelled as Foe. This one is called Dead on Arrival. I'm going to have some water before I read it. If anyone wants to ask any questions, now's the time to do so. Oh, man. I made it onto Pipeline. How did I make it on the Pipeline? See, click my name and find out. Matt lost out. Matt, you made it on the Pipeline and you're not even looking. I'm having my own live stream, damn it. Pipeline is this machinima live stream that he does every so often, where essentially he reviews like machinimas from the last few months and goes over them and watches them with a buddy or something. So I wonder which machinima of mine made it onto Pipeline, because that's, I don't know. Which machinima would have made it onto Pipeline? Would it have been the Seraph trailer or Shift 2? I don't know. Either way. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and get into this. Dead on Arrival. Despite her pleading, he left. There was no denying that their partnership had been rough from the start. She just never imagined that they would be separated so easily. Jay, alongside a few other pilots, watched from the observation deck as their Titans departed into deep space. The Remnant Fleet vessel had been waiting for their mechanical partners to embark as soon as Spyglass finished his announcement. It was all impeccably conducted, as expected of a high-caliber AI. The announcement was simple. In the name of peace and coalescence on the frontier, join Spyglass or die. The AI's broadcast would have been ignored if it weren't specifically directed towards the Titans. Spyglass's words hit them with sweet promises of protection for their pilots should peace be attained, so the choice was clear. Jay clenched her fist, fighting tears for the second time today. Her heart hammered with anger and woe, contempt for Spyglass, and heartbreak from the sudden abandonment by her partner, TZ-1165. Her Legion-class Titan's decision had been immediate, and even though Jay had made every effort to convince him otherwise, his artificial mind was set and unyielding. With a chuff of air from his vents, he'd stomped past her and readied for departure. He didn't even bother disconnecting their link. She stared through the thick glass that separated her from the empty vacuum of space, eyes focused on the small dot that now carried Taz away from her. The brevity of Spyglass's broadcast and Taz's immediate departure made Jay scan through her years with the Titan, questioning the volatility of their relationship overall. Years ago, Jay had completed her pilot certification with the lowest score ever recorded. Her low score betrayed her excellence in almost every category. She was nimble, adept, and did perfectly fine up until the last hurdle of the certification. Ultimately, her failure to maintain the integrity of her simulated Titan plummeted her score to depths never before achieved. Time and time again, she had lost her simulated Titan, resulting in repeated failures. Each failure strengthened her resolve to become a pilot, leading to an almost reflexive reapplication to take the exam. After each failure, Jay feverishly sped to the office, allowing no time for reflection of her mistakes and stubbornly demanding to retake the certification. Months later, after going through the full pilot certification and botching the Titan segment, she would make a beeline back to the office and do it all over again. However, this time was different. Not due to her unrelenting attempts and sufficient skill, but instead the product of a desperate and exhausted militia, she received her full pilot certification. Jay's Titan now stood in front of her. Bent over, paintless, ugly, the Legion extended a large hand toward her, motioning to embark. She hesitated, staring at the open cockpit. "I know you," Jay took a step back, her eyes open upon recognizing him. "You're the Titan with all the pilots you killed," his voice rumbled, finishing her sentence. She stayed eerily still. "I was going to say lost," she finished, swallowing nervously. There was a pause. "Yes," he stood up, ignoring her apparent apprehension. "Will this be an issue?" Jay absent-mindedly clutched her new helmet a little tighter. She felt sweaty. "You're the single unluckiest Titan in the militia." "That depends on your perspective," he straightened up to a full height, watching her expression closely. Her face remained blank, so he continued. "From my point of view, I am very lucky. My pilots, however—" "I'm your pilot," Jay spat, stepping forward. In an instant, the Legion closed the gap between them, angling himself so that his optics light bore straight through her. She felt a shiver run down her spine as he stomped his foot down only a meter away from her. He could have crushed her, called it an accident, but he didn't. Just 1 meter over to the left, and she would have... "Not yet." The massive mech stepped backward before crouching and extending his hand backward. "Please embark when ready." 12 pilots lost, to be exact. Each and every one of their deaths still weighed heavily on him. TZ-1165 tracked Jay's movements as she stepped forward into his palm, observing how frail she was. His cockpit opened with a click and a hiss to allow her inside. He didn't want to lose another. He'd gone through her records. She was unfit to be a pilot, a failure, just like him. TZ-1165 booted up the linking protocol and directed his attention accordingly. The link failed. Perhaps if it continued to fail, he wouldn't have to lose another pilot. But what would happen to him? Jay demanded to try again. Matching her determination, he initiated the linking protocol. The link succeeded. The last Neuralink attempt had left a small buzzing noise in the back of Jay's head, but it was enough for the two of them to call it acceptable. The minor abnormality in the link was drowned out by the feeling of a much-needed success. She let out a sigh, content. Jay was certain the two of them were desperate to make this work. Their first deployment was a disaster. An IMC Tone had launched its salvo at them right as they turned around to face the threat. By luck alone, both Jay and TZ had survived a direct hit to the cockpit. The Legion had needed minor repairs, and Jay landed in the hospital for a few weeks. Something needed to change. The solution that they agreed upon was unorthodox at best. Jay, feeling more comfortable out and away from her Titan, decided to never step foot inside his cockpit again. TZ-1165, who was much more comfortable without her poor piloting skills, would also work alone. The idea was for the two of them to work separately, but communicate efficiently and move in unison. Their plan was sound. They would have increased single target damage if they focused their fire appropriately. They would cover each other for more unique exploitation of their enemies' weaknesses. The next mission, their plan effortlessly sprung into action. Jay took the smaller routes along the side, while TZ-1165 barreled through the opposition front and center. Occasionally, he would slide over to dispose of some stalkers that blocked her path, or she would smoke out an enemy pilot attempting to climb on top of him. In a dizzying flurry of archer rockets from every direction, and a bold, overbearing approach from the Legion, the two dispatched overeager Titans with ease, netting a wildly successful completed mission for their division. netting a wildly successful completed mission for their division. The militia disapproved of their unusual arrangements, but it couldn't deny the results. Despite being unconventional, they worked. And Spyglass broke that up in an instant. Over the years that passed following Taz's departure, Jay found herself soured by the events that unfolded across the frontier. She, alongside the remaining forces of both IMC and militia, worked toward finding and destroying the rogue AI. Each day, she felt smaller and smaller without her partner. Each day, her animosity toward Spyglass grew. Finally, they had located the AI on the remote planet of Regis. Commander Gates of the 6-4 had hailed Jay's ship, pushing a call to action. Without question, they obliged. Down on the surface of the planet, the telltale rings of a fold weapon stood proud, jutting up past the distant tree line. Jay had only ever seen holovids of a similar structure from years ago, but its shape was unforgettable. A large facility spread out nearby, the surrounding area peppered with dark, rounded capsules. Jay and her fellow Titanless pilots had already boarded their ship's dropship, now descending past the blanket of clouds along the far outskirts of the compound below. The path downward was rough with turbulence and stray fire rocking the ship every now and then. She felt the sweat on her palms as she gripped the railing to steady herself, catching a glimpse of the world outside. Already, there was fighting. Ships spun out of control as the anti-aircraft turrets from the surface shot them down. The vessels smeared across the earth as they scorched, marring the landscape with long scorched scars. The soldiers and pilots that had somehow managed to reach the surface were engaged in battle with nearly identical counterparts. Soldiers fought soldiers, pilots with pilots, and the Titans that had remained with their partners now chipped away at those who swore loyalty to Spyglass. The ship's hatch opened, and her crew leapt out, their jump kits providing a smooth and serene descent, a contrast to the surrounding hellscape. The dropship had already rocketed back up into the atmosphere, eager not to get shut down by lingering too long near the surface. As her squad spread out and made its way to the central facility information, Jay felt a familiar buzz in the back of her head. Turning, she spotted the Legion as he stepped on something, twisting his foot and mashing his target into paste. He steadied his Predator cannon and fired into a crowd of pilots and Titans alike, lighting the ground ablaze with gore and shrapnel. Jay would recognize that ugly, still unpainted chassis anywhere. Taz. She felt sick. The sweat she'd forgotten about now ran cold along her chest and sides. The rifle in her hands trembled. He was killing her brothers and sisters without hesitation. Her partner was slaughtering the very people he was supposed to protect. Owing to their battle style, Jay was accustomed to viewing his destruction, but in the context of obliterating the militia, it contorted her stomach into knots. She knew what she had to do. If anyone was to put him down, it was going to be her. Jay activated her jump kit to boost her forward as she bounded toward her Titan's back. Swiftly, she hopped from rung to handhold up to his battery compartment and grabbed hold, twisting the cell free and throwing it blindly into the surrounding dust. The Legion squirmed, an enormous hand reaching from above and behind, and plucked her from his back. He held her out in front of his optics, the teal blue light blinding her. "Pilot! What you're fighting for isn't peace," Jay kicked out, her foot catching on a rung at the bottom of his hand. "We are partners." "No." Spyglass broke that. She wrenched herself from his grip and slid behind him, reaching for the archer along her back. She aimed the weapon up, glancing through the lens just as he whipped around. But it was peace he was fighting for. If only she didn't resist. If only she didn't put his mission in jeopardy. If anyone was to put her down, it was going to be him. His foot stepped down, 1 meter to the left of where it did when they first met. That was Dead on Arrival by Kai the Foe. Ah! Damn, I am tired, and holy shit, my back is hurting from just sitting here. Alright. So, let me see. Disobeyed, if you say X to doubt, I don't care if it's on here or in the Discord server, one more time, I may just, get a bot that the moment it says X to doubt, it just deletes your message. Like it's you are reaching unperceived, unpredictable levels of X to doubt at this point. Oh, it's like his favorite catchphrase in the server. It's great. Let me see. Ooh, Dead on Arrival, Mad Dead Space Vibes. He was watching the stream. He was streaming this your stream. Oh, he was streaming my stream? Cool. Titans are overrated anyways. See him. Let me see. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm gonna turn the gain down slightly then. And the mic's just really good. Okay. So if anyone has any questions or, comments or anything, I'll read chat for the next, 2 to 3 minutes. And then I will announce the winner. I know who has won already. I'll give you the honorable mentions and the winner afterwards. So, let me see. I mean, it said it first, but it's meh. That's so sad. Can I get an X to doubt in chat? Militia bad. Technically, I think she fucked up because I think that's supposed to be the Embers, not the militia on Regis, technically. Let me see. That's so sad. Can I get an X to doubt in chat? Bowl. Progress on Seraph? Progress on Seraph, I want to release a preview of Act 1. Act 1 is much longer than I thought it was going to be. Act 1 is Act 1 is, I think, almost 35 minutes long. Almost potentially 40 minutes long. Hopefully the other acts aren't as long. But so far, the biggest thing holding me back with Seraph is Forge maps. I don't have... Jeez, excuse me. Jeez, a lot of gas coming up my throat today. I did have cheese for breakfast, so that might have something to do with it. I don't have the correct scenes for essentially these two big things. One of them I think is going to be rather easy to forge myself. The other one is a little bit more difficult. It's a Guardian HQ, so it's almost like a police headquarters scenario, and I just don't have a map for that. Another big issue is body actors and the fact that Halo 5 requires each person to have their own Xbox and everything. I'm always low on body actors, and whenever I need body actors, there's almost no one ever around. So that's another thing kind of holding it back. Let me see. Progress, how many acts are there going to be? Right now, I'm planning on 4 acts for Seraph. At least 3, probably 4. Progress on Seraph, I think the first 4 to 5 minutes of Seraph are done, of Act 1, and then after that is when I need the maps, and that's the difficult part. But a good chunk of Seraph Act 1 actually consists of some of the preludes. So if you've seen the preludes, then you've seen part of Seraph Act 1. Let me see. Colin, cheese for breakfast, press space to pay respects. Yeah, I didn't really see anything there. I was planning on grabbing some snacks and eating during this, which I'm glad I didn't now because my throat's dry enough already. But I did have 2 slices of Tillamook medium cheddar, which was actually pretty good. I can try sometimes. I have Halo 5. I don't need voice actors. I just need body actors. Body actors are people who just stand around and I say, hey, do this thing, and you do it. And there's not enough of those. Let me see. All right. Let me see. Any last minute, asks or, chats? Because in the next minute, I'm gonna reveal which one won everything. And remember, for the winner, you do need to have a PayPal account so I can actually send you the $25. And then from there, you can transfer it to your bank account. But as far as PayPal goes, I think you only really need an email address. So let's see. Tillamook is pretty good cheese. Yeah. I see. Slaves, basically. Yes, thank you. Pretty much. If you need someone, I'm around for the next few months. But do you have Halo 5 on Xbox One, Bull? And also, you're in Europe, aren't you? You're across the pond. Drink some tea with honey, mate. Drink some tea with honey, mate. excuse me, I don't think there could be a more English, phrase that you could do. If you wait a while, Exo might be on asking for smut. Ugh. Romantic fanfic between two specters who think they're human but discover they're machines while fighting on opposite sides of the war. I don't know the context for this. Interesting concept, though. Definitely an interesting concept. Again, this contest was done for... let me see if I can post my own links. This contest was done for the Architect Codex series, which is being rewritten right now. That takes place in Titanfall. I'll see if I can actually find a link for it right now. And then let me get this out of the way. And then... let me see. There we go. Let me see if I can actually post something. There we go. All right, looks like I can post links, apparently. So that right there is a link to the story, or at least the rewritten form of the story. There's 3 books that are currently being rewritten here that everyone had to write within the universe for. And on top of that, I think I'm going to shoot an invite to the Discord link. So this right here, just in case, that is a link to the Discord that you can all use. Bring Ari and Ash back. They're dead. Sorry, Ari and Ash are dead. I don't know how many times I have to go over that. They're dead. They're dead. They're dead. Both ghosts got destroyed. They're uber dead. Let's see. Let me see. What else can I? Oh yeah. Also, if you would like to donate to Patreon, there's 2 different Patreons that I run. One is for Starfall content, like videos, and you get rewards for videos. And the other one is for writing. So this one right here is for writing. This one right here is for YouTube. Figure that I should just post those in the off chance that anyone feels like they want to donate or join at any point. You can also join with memberships on YouTube, which are $4.99, I think, per month, and you get custom emojis in the chat. If you have to ask me, you also get custom live streams, I think, once a month. But if you have to ask me, I would just do Patreon rather than the $4.99. There was no way to adjust the price of the YouTube memberships. So, sure, I didn't want to keep reading G&D anyway. Look, dude, it's been out for like 4 years, man. I'm not my bad if you, you can't read that fast. It's been out for 4 years. If you haven't taken the time to read it at this point, that's your own fault for getting spoiled. Let me see. What else? That's right. So I also have a new YouTube channel. Well, not really a new YouTube channel, but I have a new YouTube channel where essentially it was my old YouTube channel, and now I'm bringing it back. Let me see if I can find it right now. Because essentially what I did was I took down all of the videos related that were on it, and I'm probably going to be posting some more stuff on there soon. But this one's going to be more writing and personal oriented, because what I want to do is I want to keep Starfall as more of like a publisher kind of channel. So by now people probably know that I have Grumpy Elite and Elite Killer joining the team of Starfall. With Grumpy Elite is going to be posting Emilia on here, and Elite Killer will be posting Final Destiny, his Machinime series. So this YouTube channel is going to be my personal YouTube channel. So my ship posting, any personal thoughts I have, any personal videos I have will get relegated to that. And then last but not least, There will probably not be any more live streams that are like gaming related here on YouTube. Instead, what I would do is for any gaming related streams, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing them on Twitch, and you can go subscribe to the Twitch there, or you can just follow it. I'll be honest, I think you have to pay for a subscription on Twitch, so just following is enough. So there we go. Those should be all the relevant links, I think, for anything that any of you guys might want. But now we get to go on to the good stuff here. So, without further ado, honorable mentions. Let me see. About I Make Things Me. That's a goddamn lie. Shut the fuck up. Let me see. Here we go. So, Huntress and Ghosting, thank you guys very much for sending in your entries. Unfortunately, you did not win. But again, I wanted to say something positive about each of these because I feel like that should be the job of any writer. Should be trying to help other writers, come up from the ashes, so to speak. Maybe not come up. That sounds so pretentious. Jesus. My goal as a writer should be to help other writers so that way there's more good writing. If that just sounds way too simple, but it really is. Like I feel like I almost have an obligation to help people, whether it's with video editing or story writing or regular writing, whatever. If I know how to help people do that thing, then I should by all means be obligated to help encourage you guys into doing that. So as far as color goes for Ghosting, again, I think you set up your characters well with Jenny and the main character whose name I can't remember right now. I can't even remember if you actually told him his name. I liked the banter between the two of them. I liked how you alluded to certain events happening before the story had ever happened that gave us kind of the sense that there was a greater history between the two without ever spending so much time on it. I really did like the language that you used as far as the color and description of stars goes. It was really well done. For Huntress, I think you had a really solid concept. My biggest peeve, I think, not even like a peeve, but probably something that I would work on in the future, would be the characters that you wrote in all seemed like insert first name here. I didn't see any distinction between the characters, and it was hard to tell them apart at times. I remembered Karn, and I remembered the main girl and Case, and that was about it. There were other names sprinkled in there like San, Alex, and Tyler, and I have no idea who any of those three are. So what I would work on is character development and trying to distinguish your characters from other characters. I did like your inclusion of Barker. I definitely loved the nod to 4 going missing. So my best guess is that it would occur either after Cinder or after Inferno, because those are the only 2 times. Well, no, because it could also happen during Cinder when 4 disappeared. So I guess there's a number of places, and Barker was alive, so it would have had to have been before. Either way. I think you did have a solid concept there. I liked your description of this terraforming alien AI, or this terraforming AI in general, that they were then going to repurpose to make another spyglass. It was definitely super intriguing and definitely not something that I've been experimenting with. But either way, thank you both for submitting your entries, and I hope you continue to be active members in the server, because you definitely could use your guys' talents. Matt, when I eventually get my first chapter done, would you mind reading it? Yes. No, I would not mind reading it. Sorry. I will read it. I just won't do a live stream around it. Can't sub to someone on Twitch until they get affiliate. Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know if you can follow anyone on Twitch, but anyway, there's the Twitch channel. So just keep an eye on that if you want to be notified of like when I go live or anything. Let me see. So the next, I feel like I can't go into this without like giving away who the winner is. So instead, I'm not going to mention who the winner is. I'm just going to talk about the next 3. One of these next 3 is the winner. I'm going to say something positive, and I'm going to give a little critique for each. Excuse me. So, for Blood and Falling Snow by Wanderer. Again, I wanted to go back in and talk about how, yes, dying. Sorry. I wanted to talk about how it really did remind me of Hacksaw Ridge, and I did like this concept that you took with the perspective of instead of it being war-oriented, you kind of flipped that on its head. Obviously, it was still during a war, but it wasn't the gung-ho hero who, charges the battle lines and is well known by everybody. It was the unsung hero, the guy who instead of taking life is trying to give it. It was the guy who does everything behind the scenes, and I liked that you didn't talk about which side he was on and left a little bit of ambiguity to show that, there's good on both sides and there's bad on both sides, and at the end of the day, it didn't matter which side this guy was on. He was just a medic doing his job that he had intended. Something I would work on a little bit, some of your dialogue felt a little possibly like unnatural. Some of the writing that you used, I found like some repeat words and phrases that could be like cleaned up a bit. So mostly the error wasn't with like your story concept. Most of the criticism that I have for it came from the writing itself and just like how it could be. It was very easy to clean up. But like the fact remains that it hadn't been. So that would be like my biggest critique with that. So as long as you work on just making sure that everything is nice and in order, and work on possibly like cleaning up your writing style a bit, then I think you've got a very strong future ahead of you. For Bowles' story, the Nightmare Fuel 101, favorite part of this had to have been the every time they mention the amalgamates or the seed without talking about the amalgamates or the seed, and there's just kind of like this foreboding sense of holy shit, this thing, we have no idea what it is and it's going to totally fuck us over, was definitely very prevalent throughout the thing. I thought you did a very good job of encapsulating that kind of fear and that tone in the story itself. I thought that your writing was very unique. I think the dialogue itself was good. I just got a bit, deterred, I think, by all of the sci-fi jargon, mostly because it was just so full, and also I'm speaking aloud, so it's definitely different from reading in your head. You don't stumble over your words. But in here, I'm not the best public speaker, I would say, and I also not a huge fan of my voice already, so reading this out and like with a dry throat and everything probably wasn't the best idea. But either way, I think you did a great job with encapsulating that kind of sense of foreboding that like the early stages of the amalgamation events definitely carried. I liked at the end how they didn't win. It was very, very just morose almost. They got their information out. They sent everything out that they needed to. But that was it. They had a job and they fulfilled that job even if they didn't get to live to see the fruition of their efforts. And the idea that they're all like that the amalgamates are boarding and slowly infecting the crew and quickly like they're about to take it over added another dimension to it that I didn't think I was going to see. So I applaud you for that. So again, biggest criticism was probably the sci-fi jargon in it. Probably the biggest criticism, as well as like a few grammatical errors here and there. I noticed that like you would have something like get on those comms, he shouted, but like he would be capitalized, which generally, so if you want to finish a sentence and then continue, you want to add a comma instead of a period at the end of dialogue, and then it continues with a lowercase he or she or, name, insert name here, said or stood or nodded or whatnot. But you were messing up a little bit on the capitals, but that's okay. That's just something that I noticed. So I would keep an eye out for that. If you want, I can point it out to you in chat later. But overall, still very well done. Kai the Fox / the Foe. I don't know how you want me to pronounce it. Break out the thesaurus, boys! Once again, very much reminds me of either the Necromorphs from Dead Space or the Flood from Halo. Yeah, I can imagine so, because the Amalgamates were inspired by John Carpenter's The Thing, and The Thing also inspired the Flood and the Necromorphs in both of those. So it's like three different things that were all kind of inspired by the same original inspiration. Let me see. So, okay, I'm seconds behind. It is very frustrating. Whoever the bejesus he is, I'll keep on with this lad. It's an excellent critique. More jargon is required. I wrote it between 3 and 5 a.m., so my writing was the best. I noticed. That's okay. Once again, very much reminds me... Yeah, just to throw off Matt. I don't know how to pronounce it either. Oh, there we go. Hey. Wait, Unhealing Medic, are you Kai? Or is that someone who just knows Kai? I can't tell. Some people's usernames are different from their Discord names. It's getting confusing. Either way, I really did like I did want to mention that Bull wrote another story for the Architect Codex like 2 years ago, I think. And it had to do with Alcor and her brother like beginning the amalgamation. And it was very, very interesting. Non-canon for sure, but it was very well written. I would probably argue more well written than this was, but that doesn't detract from his entry here. Like he said, he wrote this whole thing in like a few hours last night or the night before. Yeah, because today's the 12th. Yeah, so the night before, he wrote it like between the very, very early hours. Okay, that is Kai. Cool. So that would be my thing, but yeah. Moving on to Kai's. So, as far as Dead on Arrival goes, I absolutely loved, because we didn't see the concept. In Cinder, with Tobias and KT, I kind of went the opposite way. I went Tobias hiding like a bitch, and KT was the one who went off to fight Spyglass. And then obviously the whole thing happened and they got back together. But you actually went the full 9 yards, and you took the Titan going off to protect its pilot, even though they didn't get along originally, and then the pilot going to destroy Spyglass later. And this Titan, it hadn't been affected by the nanites that Spyglass was using to control the other Titans or the other people who disagreed with him. It was sincerely a loyal Titan that thought it was doing what was best, which was the unification of humanity via the coalescence and the nanites. And it was this very interesting dynamic, because it's not her looking at like this husk of her friend controlled by Spyglass, and there's no rationalization that she can use to say like, oh, it's okay, I'm only like euthanizing him, like Spyglass is controlling him. She's legitimately putting down her friend. And he's putting her down at the end. And I thought that was great that they both kind of... I think he definitely killed her. I'm not sure if she killed him, but it sounded like she did, because she lined up the archer, so like maybe she fired off a rocket right as she got stomped, and they both died. Which, honestly, either way, I thought it was really, really, really well done, that concept. Absolutely loved it. As far as critiques go, I think biggest critique has to be dialogue. For sure, sounding somewhat unnatural, maybe a little bit forced, and writing style to a degree. Things were very, very simplistic, and it might have just been because you were trying to get over the 1,500 word limit, and so maybe because you were sticking close, it wasn't like the longest entry, which was fine, but I think it could have used a little bit more expansion in certain areas, like the linking process. I think took place over like 2, maybe 1 paragraph's worth of writing, and it was basically the link failed, he tried again, the link succeeded. And I thought something like that could have been expanded upon further, maybe describe the emotions they're feeling, maybe go into depth about why the link failed, describe why the link succeeds this time, why it doesn't over the others. But overall, I thought their past was also done decently well. There was definitely a separation between present and past, which was the thing that I had critiqued on Huntresses. So good job on that part. And overall, really liked the ending. Again, just like Bowls, where basically no one wins. At the end of the day, they both just did what they thought they had to do, and no one could have asked them for more than that. So I give you some applause for that. That was a good job. All right, so those were all three of the contenders for the top spot. I think I'm getting a little close to the mic. I don't want to blow your eardrums out. So let's go ahead and discuss. Well, not discuss. I think I'm just going to say it. So drum roll, please. The winner of the first writing contest for the Starfall Discord server is Blood and Falling Snow by Wanderer. Congratulations, dude. This is your victory. Kai and Disobeyed, you guys are really, really great. Again, like I said, I loved both of your entries. At the end of the day, I could see the prize going to any one of you three. I think the reason why it goes to Wanderer in this case is because the perspective of being from a medic rather than a soldier, and his whole kind of giving life rather than taking it just pushed it barely over the edge. Overall, all three of you were very, very much on par in terms of writing and story quality, and I very much look forward to seeing writing from all three of you in the future. But Wanderer, congrats, man. You definitely earned it. I'm very happy for you, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with, as well to everyone else who came up into the contest. So feel free to DM me those PayPal deets, and I will be sure to give you the payment. So for anyone else who wants to enter contests like these and potentially earn cash prizes as well as other prizes, or read writing, discuss with other members about Seraph, Starfall in general, books, all that jazz, you can join the Discord link, which is in the chat, or it's in the description below as well. I look forward to seeing many more of you in the server, and I think that's going to call it for this live stream. It's been a pleasure, and I will see you all in the next one. Adios.